is Martin and Jaime, and I will be discussing the travesty of American public transport. To start us off, I want to ask a simple question. Have you noticed a decline in road quality? You notice construction taking way too long? You notice people can't even walk to where they need to get to without the potential for something happening, or at least to a higher risk than usual. Across the country, potholes continue to deepen, buses run late, sidewalks crumble. They may seem like small annoyances, but together they reveal a much larger problem, a slow collapse of public American transport and walkable infrastructure here in our good country, the US of A. Public transportation in the United States was once a symbol of progress and accessibility. Cities like New York, Chicago, San Francisco built rail and bus systems that connected millions of people. It represented opportunity, mobility, and the growth of urban life. But over time, the focus has shifted, with suburbs expanding, highways being stretched outward, and funding moving away from transport to the expansion of these highways. Personal vehicle dependency has increased, while public transport has decreased in recent times. This is a problem I have experienced firsthand. I didn't really start driving until about 3 years ago. So I used to walk everywhere, school, work, or just normal errands. I don't live anywhere near a bus route. There's no taxi services unless you're using rideshare apps. And, do you really want to pay to walk not even 200 feet from your place of living? I don't think so. Regardless of where I was walking, it never really felt safe. People around where I lived got hit all the time, whether by distracted driving or the need to cross the road because walkways were just way too far apart. So this is where I kind of started noticing the cracks in transportation and walkability. So I will be discussing 4 main points. First, history of public transportation, a focus on our home state of Texas, but more specifically Houston. Second, I want to talk about current issues with funding and recruitment within a lot of these areas of expertise. Third, I want to talk about the decline in walkability and road safety. And lastly, I want to talk about what the future might hold and possible solutions we can take to solving this fundamental issue that we have. To start us off, I want to talk about the history of such transportation methods. The very first system founded within our area of Houston was Hutran, carriages, horseback, all of that around 1870, operating until 1979, after which Metro was established to modernize and expand the network of transportation that we have today. Metro launched its first light rail service, Metro Rail, in 2004. This was quickly followed up by major expansion plans under the Metro Next Moving Forward plan, which was supposed to expand bus routes and make certain areas of the city more accessible through public transport. And most recently, in 2020, the Metro Rapid Silver Line began operation. These projects aim to improve mobility in one of the largest and most car-dependent cities in the country, our city of Houston. However, despite these expansions, ridership has struggled to recover from years of underfunding, and the network still fails to meet the needs of the people, which has led to a much more heavy reliance on personal transportation, as discussed earlier. This leads to a lot of its own issues, but we will get to those in a moment. The biggest problem we're currently facing is recruitment issues. Right now, driving in the city of Houston with a very large vehicle, or simply waiting for the light rail to get to where it needs to go, is very difficult. City is a very traffic heavy. The city is a very. I'll edit it later. The city of Houston is a very traffic heavy and personal vehicle dependent area to live in. So getting a bus where it needs to go is much easier said than done. hence why most people don't really want to do it. It's not simply, what you have to do, but also the years of poor funding and the draw of long working hours have driven a lot of potential drivers away, and it makes it much harder to maintain a consistent schedule for people that need the public transportation. However, in terms of the biggest issue, it it always goes back to personal vehicles, and that ends up being congestion. Heavy reliance on personal vehicles will clog up the roads. It slows bus routes, and as a worse side effect, it worsens our pollution. Without sufficient funding to attract staff and maintaining the vehicles needed to perform the job, the system will continue to decline. It's a cycle. Fewer buses leads to more cars leads to more congestion, and now we can't really do anything properly. And the public system becomes even less reliable than it was before. Now you can barely walk anywhere, and it shows. And as bus routes disappear and our highways get expanded more and more, public transportation and the walkability suffers. Sidewalks are way too often narrow, completely broken, or just gone entirely. Especially in Houston, many areas lack safe crossings or proper barriers to protect people on the sidewalk. Some just end without warning, and it forces people to walk on the edge of busy roads, which could lead to a potential to more accidents. Highway projects often take priority over pedestrian safety. Roads continue to widen, but footpaths are being phased out. And the end result is what we have now. It's a concrete jungle, discourages walking, and puts regular pedestrians at risk. Pedestrian accidents have increased in the city as it continues to prioritize the flow of vehicles over accessibility. And is it even working? We still go through traffic jams. We still have busy main roads. It still takes forever to get anywhere during rush hour. And even with that, walking still isn't safe. And it's even worse for those who don't or can't drive, as it becomes nearly impossible to navigate without a personal vehicle. With the current trend we're on, if we continue down the path we are, walkable cities and public transport will become a thing of the past. More and more pedestrians are getting into accidents, and younger generations are growing up in environments where walking is almost impractical at this point. There are some solutions to this, though. Solutions that could help slow down traffic and create a safer environment for people that need public transportation. One that operates efficiently and not to the detriment of pedestrians. Reducing our street widths could slow traffic down and create a safer environment for people that need to use the sidewalk. Protective barriers between the sidewalks and roads can prevent pedestrian accidents. Although there's always going to be exceptions, it would decrease the risk of it and make people feel much safer getting to where they need to go without the deep need for a personal vehicle. Regular maintenance of these walkways and crosswalks can make walking feel like a normal and safe part of daily life. It wouldn't interfere with too much. People would still be able to drive where they need to should they choose a personal vehicle, but people that use public transportation can get to where they need to go. Beyond that, consistent funding for public transport is still an essential need. Reliable, affordable systems can reduce congestion, can cut our emissions, and make our cities much more inclusive than they currently are. There's one thing I want to leave you with, and that's through this conclusion. The decline of American public transport and walkable infrastructure reflects a deeper neglect of community needs. Systems like Metro struggle with low funding and limited staffing, while expanding highways push pedestrians to the margins. Roads continue to widen, but access will continue to narrow alongside it. If we continue prioritizing vehicles over people, our road quality and our quality of life will both decline. In order to move forward properly, our cities have to value accessibility, safety, and sustainability. A modern nation cannot thrive if its people cannot move freely within it. Thank you very much for your time.